The Man in the White Suit, which was my first collection, includes a number of poems on gay themes and portraits of friends. I came to London in the 1980s, and that's when I came out. And of course, that was the time when HIV/AIDS was already killing so many people, including young men of my own age. This poem I'm going to read now is called The Very Rich Hours, and it's in memory of my friend Dave Royal, who died in 1996. And the title comes from those medieval books of hours, those gorgeous miniatures which celebrate each month of the seasons. The Very Rich Hours, for Dave Royal, 1960 to 1996. His window frames our pictured, distanced city. People, traffic, countless other windows, the very rich hours of the land of the living. Inside, the golden sun illuminates 4 vases of flowers, a plastic water jug, dust motes in the vacancy, and Dave in a red chair. I sit facing his level, absent gaze. The muscles of anger and pleasure have withered too. He does not know me. I hardly know him. Each morning he's cradled in a bath. His cigarettes burn down to his fingertips. All I can do for him is tap the ash. Pitched against the gym's weights and measures, discovered in the fluencies of the showers, his body seemed to me a work to perfection. He used it for spare cash and for the stories. Up cranky Soho stairwells in gas-fire rooms, he modelled for amateur photographers who tested him up close with their light meters and composed him athletic, classical, held still poetry for their camera fire. Between a bureau de change and a cigarette kiosk, he'd return to London's arcane A to Z of nightlife, bars, punters, strangers and friends. There were dark back rooms and moonless midnight parks, shadows in the margins, the casual glory of skin. Desire, not the sorrow of desire. Now mortality has become familiar. His friends are dying, or gathered here, or both, in this book of hours and hours of smoking and waiting to turn the page. And nothing to be done, except to stay. So simple and difficult. Leaving, I picture him for the last time, for myself. His window discloses a dark, deserted city. The traffic lights are changing on their own. The moon repeats itself in countless windows. The silenced TV casts its blue and silver, the world's text, irrelevantly across the parchment of his dream skin. The tattooed swallow soars from his right arm and his slight weight. May tomorrow's sunlight shine right through to illuminate his heart. A proper of time, a brief history, a love story. I've always loved the idea in homeopathy that like cures like. Ailments are treated by minute doses of natural substances that in larger amounts would produce symptoms of the ailment. It's a poetic idea. This short poem came out of seeing friends die of AIDS. It's about the vigil of the last night. The cure. Not the laying on of hands, healing bones and hearts. Not flowers, protease inhibitors, pills for the pain. Not a prayer for the dying, for you, for us, not crying, not yet. Tonight, only the clock, each concentrated second, one tiny grain in 1,000 parts of rain. I'm going to read 3 poems now from my second book, which is called From the Word Go. They're all poems about love, from madness to tenderness to farewell. They're all sonnets, and they're a kind of little trio of aspects of love. The first one is called This Love. I looked for somewhere to leave this love. I offered it to strangers in the street who backed away, casting curses and coins. I wrestled it into a black bin bag and drove it out of town to the very dark highway and abandoned it where the cars hissed and blared. I thought it might lose itself on the wrong side of the forest or end as roadkill. But this hollow dawn it was back, scratching at the window glass. Will you feed its insatiable hunger and stroke its wet head when it cries in its dreams? Or will you send it away when it stares deep into your eyes, begging for its life? A glass of water. I let you sleep to watch you sleeping. Your hair's endearing loss of dignity, the birthday present of your nakedness. Perhaps I'll catch you laughing or shouting, "Taxi!" I'd like to join you in your private dream and hold you in the vigil of my arms in time-honoured fashion for a poem, guarded by our quartz clock's set alarms. But I see beyond closed eyes, warm skin, you briefly free of clocks and love and me. And I drink to this from the bedside glass of water, which has seen everything, is still and clear, and then empty in the dark. And so I'll sleep and remember almost nothing when I wake up. Rainbird. Are you listening to the rain in our dream? It is the many thousand languages whispered from ghost to ghost and time to time. Our earthly messages. Can you hear me? Are you still there? How close can I hold you so I no longer know where my skin ends and yours begins? How can I let you go and how say goodbye? Then a night bird tunes up in his grove of shadows to the hushed tears and gods of the city in the dark and quiet rain. He sounds lonely. Shh, it's just a rainbird. He only sings when it rains. Listen. And so we do, and he does, and his music precipitates the first light, and then he's gone. I was asked to write a poem to commemorate the royal wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton. I'd married my own partner, Edward, in the spring of 2010. Racking my brains and looking back, I discovered that there were earlier stories of men living their domestic lives together, including one from the Song dynasty in China 1,000 years ago. The story states that their love was like that between husband and wife. It involves a beautiful writer, Pan Zhang, who becomes widely known for his bearing and his looks. One of the male students who came to learn from him is called Wang Jiangshan, and the two fall in love at first sight. So this is my celebration for them and of a gay rather than a royal wedding. From the Song dynasty, April 2010. The tale survives of two men who fell in love at first sight, who shared everything in unbounded intimacy, including the pillow and the red embroidered coverlet which had been in the family for generations. Whether they had bad days, domestic arguments, or inappropriate dreams, we do not know. No doubt such burrs were worked away by time polishing its story. How they found each other and lived together all their lives and died on the same day and were buried by the grieving town on Mount Luofo's peak with their pillow and red coverlet, and how a pine tree grew out of the grave like the character for longevity and true love. Such is the legend. I like to think of them, Pan Zhang and Wang Jianshan, in the crowd of well-wishers waiting in the April sunshine, perhaps under white cherry trees in full bloom, like us, here and now, on this day, early in the 21st century, with our new rings growing warm on our fingers.